Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so glad you could be here today to get some information about the plans that we are introducing for the first time this year, because it is that time of year, open enrollment time. All the information that we're going to be going over this morning about these 4 new plans are available on the Benefit Solver website. So I just wanted to take a moment to show you that website and to point out a couple of things that you may not have noticed before. So I'm going to go in as myself. And when you log in, if y'all haven't done this before, this is the screen you will get when you log in for open enrollment. And when you click on Start Here, you will be starting that process. But before you even start here, you'll see this little quick common sense videos. I don't think this was here last year, was it? No. Elvira and I looked at these. We clicked on it, so let me just show you. It's a new one. They have a library of little videos that will, it comes up, that is available about some of the different plans. Waiting. So we have dental, we have vision, they have short-term disability, they have variety, supplemental life, the HSA. So when you click on one, like this has just a general introduction about open enrollment, but let's just try this one, dental PPO. And you go to that one and then you click play.
In this video, we'll explain some of the fundamental concepts of a dental preferred provider organization or dental PPO plan. With a dental PPO, you can choose to receive care from providers that participate in the dental plan network.
So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it does provide some information to someone if they have some questions, they're not quite sure maybe what is the difference between the HMO and the PPO. Or some of the aspects about the health savings account. But they can go there and just check it all out, or they can just start with open enrollment. So let me see. Clicking Start Here. And if you start here, now I understand from a couple people who called in that when they go to this screen, they are not seeing Start Enrollment at the very bottom. If that's the case, it might be because you're using Google Chrome and you need to use the Internet Explorer as your browser. So try switching over and using the Internet Explorer as the browser, and you should not have a problem with that. And then when you click Start Enrollment, your page will come up, like this is my page. And you can either edit, make changes to your plans, or on the Reference Center, and this is really where I was going with this, all the information that we have on each one of these plans is available on the Reference Center. We have 4 new plans this year. We have a health savings account, we have an accident plan, a medical bridge plan, and an identity theft plan. If you go right here to the Reference Center, and you will see that there is identity theft protection information. And if you click on that, you will get the summary that we're going to be discussing this morning right there if you need a little refresher. Always use this Reference Center whenever you have any questions about what does your plan cover, or if you're trying to do a provider search. If you go to the medical plan or the dental or the vision plan, the drop-down menu will have several things, and one of them is the link to the provider locator website, so that you're not having to remember all the individual places to go to. All right, so having said that, let's just get started here, since we only have an hour. And really the advantage, I think, to coming today is so that you have the opportunity to ask questions. Because as I said, this is going to be a little summary of what you can see. But the opportunity to ask questions, you always find out additional information. Now, I have had people ask me if we're going to be covering medical We don't know anything yet about the medical. It was, as the alert said, this is just for these 4 new plans, and any questions and answers we may have for you on that. So outside we had a rate sheet. It is front and back. You'll see that there are no medical rates yet. The back side has the rates for the medical bridge and the accident plan. The identity theft plan has been included on the front. And then you have the various brochures you could have picked up. And the first one is on the identity theft plan. We did have an identity theft plan before that kind of just silently disappeared into the night at one point. We don't really know what happened to them. But I think that an identity theft plan is a really important benefit that can be offered to employees because it is becoming a massive problem. And we hear about it on the news all the time with Target and various different businesses. And now their systems are being hacked, and there's so many different ways that your information can be accessed that whether you do it through this program or you do it through some other program, I do think that the protection is very valuable. So with this program, this is offered, iLock 360 is a program that's actually offered through TCG, and I have been remiss in not introducing Karen. I just realized that Karen. This is Karen Core, and she is with TCG. And she's here to help answer questions because I certainly don't know all the information yet about these new plans myself. So she is going to talk to you a little bit about the identity theft plan since it's their program.
All right, we're just going to go over the identity theft part right now. There are 2 plans. There's the Plus and the Premium. I'm just going to quickly explain the difference, and then we're going to kind of go into the plan. The Plus plan, at the bottom, you've got it where it's at 1 credit bureau. So you've got TransUnion that will report back to you and send you your credit every year. You'll get your credit statement, so you have that. On the Premium plan, you get it from TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. So if there's a problem on the credit report with them, if you're on the Plus plan, they'll help you fix TransUnion, and then you can contact the other 2. Because if one has it, the other 2 will have it also. If you're on the Premium plan, they'll help you fix all 3 of the credit bureaus. If there's an issue where they've got something that's false or whatever. But the plan itself is the identity protection plan. Our company went to what I call the machine. The machine is CSID, not CISD. CSID is the machine that LifeLock, InfoArmor, ID Protect, everybody uses that machine. Okay, and then they actually come out with a product from it. So we went ahead and for educators, we got the rates that we're giving the educator rates here. The cyber alert is probably one of the biggest pieces, and you guys really won't see it as much. In the Houston Chronicle, I would think it's 2 months ago, they actually had a big article about the Black Web, and they call it the Silk Road. I don't know if anyone read that. It was 3 big pages. It's where the criminals and mobs are going. They're actually selling our identity on the Silk Web. If you can get there, which I can't because I'm not that smart, but if you can get there, you can buy drugs right over the web delivered to your door. So it is where they're going, and it is where there's a lot of Russian and Europeans that are buying our credit information. And they hold on to it for a while. So that way, if you're worried that something got stolen, they're not using it right away. And then they'll sell it or they'll start using it in credit cards. So it could be 6 months or a year after they have it before they sell it to somebody and they actually make the credit cards. So on the web, we actually, the CSID that takes the web and actually searches it for your name and your social. Okay? If anything pops up, they'll let you know that it's being sold out there. We need to be watching, and they'll be watching also, but you need to be alert of that. Social Security number trace is also done through the regular channels because a lot of people are taking medical information and actually doing prescriptions off your own medical information. There's people that are somehow, I don't know how they do this, especially since I got pulled over today, for a ticket. But they're actually giving people your ID with their picture on it for your driver's license, for your speeding tickets, and then they're not paying it, and you have warrants. So, and I'm not saying this is for everyone. Yeah, I'm just saying it is hitting more and more people. This is where it's going. So you really should be thinking about protecting your identity.
Karen, that actually happened to my sister.
Oh,
She went to
that would
renew
be
her
me.
driver's license, and at the driver's
They
license
were.
bureau, they said, your license is not expired, and there was somebody else that was using her name and they had their picture on there, and only because she's on the TV news there in Austin,
Yeah.
and they recognized her as being who she said she was.
Right.
Did they fix it? But somebody had her driver's license and was using it.
Right. So like me, I'm not on TV, so they would give me a harder time. Great. That's what I need to be thinking about next time I'm pulled over. Do I have any warrants that someone else did? So it is becoming more and more where people are getting your identity and using it for all kinds of things, not just going out and charging, but using it to get prescriptions that are not yours, using it so they don't get their tickets. Really can't imagine that that's all that good, but whatever. And then the biggest worry to me is if they're selling it to people that are going to be using it for other illegal activities, that it's going to come back on me. So that's a nice benefit. On the back of that page, it goes through everything that it does for you. I mean, if anyone uses payday loans, those are a big, big place that people lose their identity, or it gets shared with people that are not great people, and they end up using it on you. You know, when you go into the hospital, they've got all your medical, you give them your social. That goes through a lot of people. I'm not saying everyone's bad, because I have to believe people are naturally good people, but do realize you just need to protect yourself, so that way if something pops up, that you get notified. And then, besides being notified, because there is some programs that will notify you, but they won't help restore it. So they'll help restore it. They'll write letters for you, you have to sign them. But they'll write, you know, what we need to do is we need to contact Social Security, we need to do this. They give you a whole plan and they actually help you do it. So you're basically signing stuff, but they're telling you what they're doing and helping you restore your credit to good name, okay? So that's important. You can get it for you can get it for your spouse. For you, these are per pay period rates, so semi-monthly. So it's $4. For the plus plan, the premium plan is $7.50. Each paycheck. If you want to add your spouse, it's $250 no matter which plan you want to add them to, okay? And I'm just going to be honest with you, if you have a spouse, you should add them because you're a whole household. If they lose their identity, it's going to affect you one way or the other. So that's just my opinion. It's a very good plan. The premium plan also has a score tracker. So they give you your credit score if you're buying a car. I know you think that doesn't really help you. It does. I haven't always figured out why the people with low credit scores get the highest rates, because I think that's not nice. But it does. So if you know your score, you can figure out why is my score like that. You can call up the credit unions or the credit bureaus, and they can tell you something. Then you can get with iLock to help you fix things. Okay? Of course, it helps you with your house, so that's a nice thing. Court records. Oh, and I do want to say one thing. Did you all know that anyone can turn in your name and address to the post office to a new address? To me, that is annoying. But if I have your name and address, I can go and say, oh, and change it to mine, and then go back, and when I get the card that I want or the information I want, then you turn it back, and hopefully you never noticed. Especially if you were on vacation and they were smart enough to be watching your house. So there's all kinds of things going out there. Again, I'm not trying to scare anyone. I just think it's a good thing for you to think about, because this is where most of our fraud crime is going, okay, is through this kind of stuff. So that way you protect yourself and your family. Do you have questions on this?
Karen, I have a couple.
Okay.
All right. On the cyber alert, it says
Okay.
one social security number. If you have it for you and your husband, it's 2.
Yeah.
So then when it says 5 credit cards, if you have it for both, it would be 10 credit cards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is per person?
Yes, this is per person.
And on the sex offender,
Uh-huh.
so it says that they would send me a notice telling me that somebody moved into the neighborhood, or what?
They're gonna send you an email, yes, and notify you that there's been, and they'll actually give you the address of the place that someone with a sex offender that's registered has moved into, resides. You can look that up online,
Right.
but you don't, unless you do it monthly, you don't know if people move in and out. And I know that's usually for people with children, and some of you are better about, going in and looking at that than others, but this one would tell you. So you'll get an email. I will tell you, if you do this, on the registration page, it says, please make sure your email is in. Make sure it's the email that you're gonna look at, okay? Not the one that sometimes you give, because it's like, we don't sell your email. We don't give it to anybody but your benefits. And we're gonna use it with iLock. We're gonna give you the notification, because if you actually register for it, it's like the week before it becomes active, which will be 9/1, you will actually get another email saying, go on this line, here's the link for you to go on and securely put in your information, and if you're not happy with doing that online, then you can call the 1-800 number, and they walk you through everything from the credit card registration, social security registration, everything, okay? So you have to, just because you register, don't go unprotected, okay? I register and know I'm gonna get an email, and I need to go and register finished so that they can monitor all my credit cards and stuff, all right? Did you have another question?
No, well, that covered it.
Oh, okay.
What the process was. So
Yes.
the week after, second week of September or so.
It'd actually be the week before. It'll be the 3rd and 4th week of August.
Okay.
We're gonna send out emails so that you guys can go register yourselves to get all your information in there to be monitored, okay? And it's important.
Does it cover children also?
No,
Does it spouse?
it's just spouse, employee and spouse. Because most children don't have credit cards.
They
Yeah.
have social security number.
They do have social security number.
Okay.
I can ask. I know that if you're interested in it, I think we can get it. It's another $250 per pay period. So,
I actually had somebody claim one of my children just by, the IRS said that somebody probably randomly picked out my child's.
seriously, put them on your taxes?
And so when I filed my taxes, I got audited because somebody else was claiming one of my kids.
Karen, would it be $250 per child or
No.
for all children?
For all children.
Yeah, I think we would be interested in having that as an option.
It's an option. It'll be an
Yeah.
option. Okay. We'll put that option out
Do you have a
there.
family plan?
Sure, we can do that, and I can get that programmed on the site. It'll take me through today, so look for that tomorrow, okay? All right, and I'll get you a new brochure. All right, any other questions on this one? I'll be out. Yes, ma'am.
So if say someone uses your ID for a criminal act,
Yes.
gets caught and uses that, and gets arrested, so that there's a warrant out, what service do you provide for that type of?
If they get caught, they're gonna be prosecuted by the law. If you were to find out that someone used your credit card or your medical information, through them, then they're gonna do the processes of getting to the credit bureaus and TransUnion and saying this isn't them and taking it off.
But what about the criminal aspect?
So like if I get pulled over and they're like, you're going to jail, you got 18 warrants
Is
right
that-
now.
Is there like a legal defense? Is that pretty much it?
They're not illegal, they're ID. You would still have your legal, but they would actually then be able to help get the warrants removed. But actually to get out of jail, you're probably gonna have the bail and all that, and they're not gonna pay for that part.
Would they assist in
I will tell you also credits, like if someone steals your credit card, they assist in getting that removed from your credit card and all of that. Please note that it is much better, and I know some of you are not gonna like this, to use a credit card versus a debit card. Debit cards, some of your small credit unions actually protect you and stuff, but like my Chase Bank, I had someone, and the money was gone, and they're like, if we ever get the money back, they actually caught the girl, and they're prosecuting her. But she doesn't have my money anymore, so they're not getting it back, so I'm not getting it on my debit, where on my credit card, Discover and Visa, the charges she did, they wiped them off and I didn't pay for them. So it's much, I know some people want to use their debit cards. Just telling you, you have more protection with your credit cards. Did you have another? Wow. Yes.
Yeah, you are telling the truth about that because that just happened to me in March. I got a call from my bank. I went to Walmart,
Yep.
used my debit card. Nobody was behind me. Made sure nobody could see anything. And then I get a call from my bank asking me when was the last time I was at Walmart? And I told them, and they said, well, there's fraudulent activity that was done at another Walmart with your information. And I was like, well, how did they get my information?
It's the cashier.
I'm thinking so.
It's
I thought it was an
usually,
inside
and
job.
if you ever see someone swipe something, you need to call the manager.
Yeah, well, I
Because they
was able
shouldn't
to
be
get my
swiping
money
anything
back.
on their body with your credit card.
Right, I use my debit card, and I was able to get my money back, but now what you're doing, I use my credit card.
Yeah, use your credit card, you got more protection, and then
Yes.
you can at the end of the month, pay the whole credit card off.
Yes.
So I know no one wants to build up and get finance charges, but you want that protection. So, thank you.
All right, so, you know, every year our enrollment in the HD plan increases. As the cost for the medical premiums increase, more and more people shift over from what was Active Care 3 and Active Care 2, and they started moving towards Active Care 1 and Active Care 1 HD. And then, of course, they eliminated Active Care 1 last year, and they're not taking any new enrollments in Active Care 3. So we have been since last year with Active Care 2 and Active Care 1 HD. And the enrollment went from initially being about 75 to 80% in Active Care 2 to, at the end of open enrollment last year, we were at practically even 50-50 between Active Care 1 HD and Active Care 2. I'm expecting, y'all should be expecting, the rates are going to be going up. They're not going to be going down. And so the shift is going to continue to go towards Active Care 1 HD as people are trying to control their costs. So we are looking at ways to try to help employees with that Active Care 1 HD plan, because, you know, the hesitation, of course, is with the high deductible. And if you're healthy, it's only going to be if you have that surprise kind of thing happen that you'll be exposed to that high deductible. But if you are not super healthy and whatnot, if you have a chronic condition or some kind of health issue, you certainly are going to be exposed to the high deductible. If you have kids, well, you know, things happen. Accidents happen. So we've come up with a couple of plans. The next 3 plans are all to assist employees manage the cost of their health care. So the first one up there is for some protection. It's a medical bridge plan, and it applies to whether you're hospitalized due to an accident or an illness. And it will help defray part of the cost that you might have out of pocket on your deductible by reimbursing you up to $1,500. This is once per calendar year per covered person for hospital confinement. If you have an outpatient procedure, depending on what type of procedure, you will be reimbursed either $500 or $1,000, depending on, as I said, whether it's level 1 or it's level 2 as far as the type of outpatient surgical procedure. And that's not going to cover the whole deductible by any means, but it does help defray part of that cost, and it is at a relatively low cost to the employee. So currently, let's say they're in the Active Care 1 HD plan for employee only. It's costing them $0, but they have that exposure to a $2,400 deductible for a relatively small cost. For employee only, depending on the age, and let's just pick the 17 to 49, for $982 a month, they would have some protection, about for $1,500 worth of protection for that plan. So just something for employees to consider. The other one is an accident. So this one's going to cover accident or illness for hospitalization. The other plan is just for accident. So that kind of focuses in my mind, we're talking people who have no health care issues generally, they're in good health, and they're afraid that their exposure will be strictly through that unexpected accident. And so they want a little bit of protection for that. In that case, they could look at let me switch over here. my mouse.
Does it cover accidental pregnancies?
Sorry.
So you had two different little brochures available to you about the accident. One just has a little summary, and then one really breaks it down into specifics on the health condition. And so it will reimburse various amounts depending on what type of accident, what type of injury you had. On a fracture, you have two different plans. You have a low plan and a high plan. And on the low plan for a fracture, it would be anywhere from $50 to $3,000. Well, that's quite a big spread. But if you look over in the more detailed breakdown of it, you'll see that under fractures, depending on whether it's a closed fracture or open fracture, what it is, what bone that is fractured, you'll see the various rates that you would be reimbursed to help defray some of those costs. And it goes down that way for all types of injuries, depending on the seriousness of it. And that really, in summary, is what those two plans are about, is to help defray the cost. You do have to be enrolled in the medical plan, as I understand it, Karen, for the medical bridge, right?
You actually don't,
Okay.
but they want you to know that that's not medical insurance.
Right. Neither one of these take the place and meet the definition as defined by Affordable Health Care as a medical plan. You cannot use this as your only means of coverage. So they wouldn't have to be enrolled in our plan for either one of these?
No.
Or in any plan?
Well, by Obamacare, they're supposed to be in a plan.
Right.
But they actually technically will not have to be enrolled in either one of these. But please note that these are not going to pay your providers either. They're going to pay to you, and then you guys will pay your providers. But if there's disclosures in there that say, you know, this is not a medical plan.
So they could file a claim, they wouldn't have to show proof of enrollment in anything,
No.
just proof of the injury or the accident.
Right, and that's one of the benefits from the medical bridge plan
Mhm.
compared to a GAP plan.
Okay.
Because the GAP plan only would pay if you had some of your deductible left, and people on a high deductible plan had already used most of it for tests and doctor's visits, and they would only pay what's left. But this one will pay you the full $1,500 whether you've used it or not.
Okay.
So
Mary,
definitely-
Yes.
do you have a question?
Yes.
On this form,
Uh-huh.
it says the monthly benefit for employee only is $787 for the low plan. On this, it says it's $787 per pay period.
Oh, it's in the back.
Well,
These are the monthly rates on here.
right, but it's quoting a monthly rate that we're quoting on, we were quoting as a per pay period rate.
They're just this, I think.
We need to divide this into two.
You can call them
We
for
have, so
it.
we have this as the employee only.
This says $787.
Yeah, no, this is
This says $787 for half a month. This is for half a month.
this is the monthly. What's the monthly? This is right here. This is these are. No, I know. You're right, make sure it's in there.
Okay.
Okay. So this, I'm not sure.
This is not, well, we just doubled this.
Oh.
The per pay period, because I
We're
had
supposed to have
some
them.
semi-monthly. All right, sorry. All right. Well, I'm glad you caught that, because the $787 is the monthly, so it's half of that per pay period. So we'll have to revise, we will revise the rates quoted on the accident plan, because $787 is for employee only, $1189 is monthly for the spouse.
That's the same with the high school.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and in the benefit booklet that Mary handed out to you, it's actually showing you the semi-monthly rates in there. The correct.
You should get a price. So, let me just get it clear. So if I choose not to have insurance rated B, but my husband's, can I still purchase this plan?
Yes, you don't have to have, yeah, they don't care that you're on medical somewhere else or not. You can purchase the accident, the medical bridge plan, any of them.
Great. And then the other question is, since we don't know the rates yet for the medical plan, can we hold off on electing this until we have that?
What I announced in the announcement about open enrollment was that right now you can enroll in everything except the medical and the health savings. You could enroll in these if you wanted to.
Later on.
But in July, you can enroll in medical, the accident plan, the bridge plan, the flex, and the health savings account. You cannot do dental or vision or life insurance in July or the prepaid legal. But all these that are kind of connected to your health care, you can do in July. Once we have the rates and we know what's going on the medical.
And Mary, just so you know, specifically asked for that for you all, so I had to get the vendors to agree to that. Because usually they don't do that. So she did ask for that, and we got the vendors to agree to it for y'all because of Mary. And she's put it in on the second page, it's the last paragraph. In case you forget which one's reopened, it's the last one, it's right there for you. She made sure to put that there for you.
So it says one is colonial and one is MetLife. You do both, and on one accident, you just like.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll have two premiums that you're paying, but yes.
Yeah, you could combine them. All right.
So, how do we find out more about what determines an accident?
An accident is gonna, like your doctor will say that was from an accident and it doesn't have pre-existing, because it didn't happen yet.
So I was in something happened to me. I went in for laparoscopic surgery, and the doctor accidentally cut my fatty tissue around my bowel, and had to have emergency surgery, put me in an ambulance, sent me to the hospital.
That would be a medical thing, that would not be an accident.
It was an accident on the doctor's part.
But it originated with a health condition.
Right, so that wouldn't count.
Right,
Not as an accident.
right. Right.
So it would count under the one plan if you had the bridge plan, but it would not.
So under the bridge.
Yes.
Yes,
Not the accident.
right. The accident is a lot of people that have sports, that do a lot of sports, or their kids. I'm one of 8 kids. I think my parents were all the doctor. But a lot of people that are really active, and then I have some ladies that have come up to me and said, we're getting it because we tend to start falling a lot. So, you know, everybody's got their own thing, and I have always been what people call me a klutz. So I am a klutz. And usually my medical problems are like, was hiking with my dogs and fell and broke my wrist. Really? How many people can do that? So, you know, just things like that.
On the bridge plan, pre-existing condition.
Pre-existing condition on the bridge plan. So let's go to the bridge plan in your mind. Not the accident plan. The accident plan, there's no pre-existing because accidents, okay? The bridge plan has a 12-month pre-existing. So anything that you're being treated for, you're taking medication for, is not going to be covered for that first 12 months. Your second year, it'll cover you for everything. Your first year, it'll cover stuff that's new. So if you have a hip surgery already planned, it's not going to give you that $1,500 for that. Now, if you didn't know you had a bad hip and after September 1 you get diagnosed with that and have the hip surgery, that's fine. But if there's doctor's records saying you've already been diagnosed that you're going to need a knee replacement, hip surgery, or you're taking high blood pressure medicine, if we go for a heart attack, I know some people don't consider that having a heart problem. But if you're on high blood pressure medicine or cholesterol medicine, it's a heart problem. So if you go for a heart attack the first year, it would not pay. The second year, it would. Okay? So then that's just on the medical bridge plan. Okay? I know, I just cheer you up every day.
But that is too, the other side of that is, it does prevent people from not ever enrolling, and they wait, and then they find out that they have something, and then they enroll, and then it drives up the price for everybody who wants to have it. So it keeps people from in and out, in and out. You either get in it or you don't fool with it. But
Yeah, that way your rates don't keep going up. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure if you touched on it, but how does the reimbursement process go?
For both
For the
plans,
accident, yeah.
both plans
Yeah.
have a claim form,
Okay,
and you're gonna get your EOBs from your doctors or your hospitals, and you're gonna file that with your claim form. They take faxes, so you can fax them in or you can mail them in.
okay.
And
we'll
then the
have those
reimbursement
available.
goes straight to you.
So then the EOB codes are very important from the doctor that identify that it was an accident?
Yeah, it's important from the EOB for it, because it actually will show it is an accident. And sometimes on an accident, you know, it's kind of clear.
Right.
You know, breaking your wrist, most people don't do that on purpose.
Right.
Yes.
The flip side of the risk you identified, Mary, is what if you pay your premiums for a year with your pre-existing condition, and then next open enrollment period, we decided to drop?
It's portable.
Okay.
It's portable, and you could keep that for as long as you want to, and the rate will stay the same. So when you, if for some reason Harris County decided to take something off of payroll, the accident plan and the medical bridge plan are portable, and you can start paying directly to the company, and we would always give you the information from the 1-800 number to this is what the form that actually helps you set that up.
I would expect rates to increase without having the volume purchase that CPE provides.
But you bought it while you were in the group, so they're gonna let you keep that.
Okay.
All right.
Good question though.
The final piece of this is, and we've had interest over the years expressed in a health savings account, but we just didn't have the enrollment numbers to justify getting one because we had very few people in the high deductible plan. As I mentioned earlier, now it's a 50-50 thing, and we certainly have the numbers to warrant looking into having a health savings account, and we have added that as a feature, as a benefit for this year. With the health savings account, in some ways, it's very much like a flexible spending account. It is there for you to help reimburse you for medical, dental, vision expenses that are not being covered by insurance, whether it's a deductible or a copay, or just the fact that you don't have dental insurance, but you have a dental expense, or vision. It also, though, covers a few things that a flexible spending account will not. Because it is portable. Unlike the flexible spending where it goes from year to year, and if you do not use the money by July 31st, you lose the money. With the health savings account, you continue to have that roll along with you, and it continues to accumulate if you stay enrolled in the plan, or if you don't enroll for the next year in the plan, it is still sitting there for your use if you have not used it up. And then if you leave Harris County, it is your money to take with you. So that's a real upside on the health savings account. The dollar amounts that you can contribute are actually a little bit higher than a flex plan as well. A flex plan, the most that you can contribute is $2,500. With a health savings account for employee only, it's $3,300, and for a family, it's $6,550. Now, you have to be enrolled in a high deductible plan. So if you are in active care 2, you are not eligible to enroll in the health savings account. Also, if you have a spouse who is enrolled in a flex plan at his or her place of employment, you cannot enroll in the health savings account. The spouse would have to close their flex account in order for you to do that. You cannot have both. And you can only enroll for the level, the 3,300 or the 6,550, for what you are enrolled in here. If you're in the employee only plan, you're limited to 3,300. Even if you have a spouse and now your spouse cannot enroll in his flex plan or her flex plan, you can only do 3,300 because that's what you're enrolled in here. And if you have a family plan, then you can do the 6,550. So it's all tied. It gets a little, it's a little unfair there as far as it's tied to your enrollment, as opposed to being able to cover that spouse, but that's just the way the plan works. Yes?
How about employee and children only? Would that apply to 65 too, or?
Not unless you have the kids enrolled on your plan.
Well, they are, so.
If they're on your plan, then they would count as family. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to.
Yeah. But if they're not on your plan, even though you have kids and they're on their parents' plan, you could not do the family coverage.
And can I expand on that one
Sure.
a little bit? If you have the employee and children here and you're in the high deductible health plan, you can get the family limit of up to $65.50. If your spouse is at her employer and also is in a high deductible plan, she's eligible for an HSA there, but you as a family are already doing it here if you're doing the $65.50.
I don't apply, I'm the voice anyway.
I'm not just answering though for you, I'm kind of answering for the
Understood.
group.
Okay, just making sure.
So,
You can only have one family. You can't have
Right.
a family here and then an employee
Right.
only there.
So if your spouse has an HSA over there and they're doing 3,000, then you basically take the 3,000 off the 6,500, and that's the maximum you can do. And it is not your employer's responsibility to keep up with that. The IRS, it is yours. The IRS puts this is on yours. There's no way we could even know what your spouse is in. But I will tell you, if your spouse has a flex somewhere else, and you do think, they'll never know, you're right, we won't know, and it's not our responsibility. But when you file your taxes, they know, and that is something that's gonna get you audited, okay? So you have to really be careful on those.
With this plan, you will have a debit card and you will have like a checkbook. So if you're going and you can use that debit card, if it's something you've already incurred the expense for, you can actually write yourself a check. But it's really important that you understand what is allowed and what is not allowed, because this is a pre-tax plan, just like the flex plan. But if you use this money for an unallowed expense, not only do you owe the taxes now on it, but then I think there's a 20% penalty on
Yes.
top of that. I think you have a little grace period to correct any kind of innocent mistakes, but out and out fraud, there's no grace period, I don't imagine.
Yeah, they're pretty strict on that. So, when you cut your finger with the garden trowel and you go to the doctor, the trip to the nursery to buy more plants isn't covered. Okay? So just remember, and you have a grace period, but it's, I think, 60 days. They're very strict on that. And then if you have an HSA, you need to keep your receipts, if you write yourself a check, in a folder with your taxes. Because will they ask for it? Probably not. But if they do, you have to be able to come up with those receipts. Okay?
Okay, you saying write yourself a check. I know in the flex plan, the money is already available to you. And I'm reading here, the health savings, the money is not available to you. So tell me about writing a check. So you have to complete a claim form for money expenses that you've already incurred, or how do you?
No, I think you're actually issued
You
checks.
paying
You get your
paying
first.
them with that.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
I want to make this clear. Your HSA is like a dependent care account. It is not pre-funded. It only goes in there as you put the money in. So whether you're writing yourself a check or using your card, the money has to be there. You can bounce your own check. It's a $30 overdraft for just them. Then whatever the store, doctor, dentist charges you for that. So you have to have the money in there to write your check. But a lot of times, like your spouse didn't have your card and they picked up the farm prescription, if you have the money in there, you write yourself a check, take the receipt, put it in your taxes. So that way you can go cash your check, because that is a viable check and that you have the right to do that. Where you're used to sending that claim form to JEM and they administer it, you in an HSA, this is your account. You're administering it, and the only person that's going to look over you is the IRS. And if they do, you need to be able to support what you're doing. I will tell you, you get your first 50 checks free. It comes with your card. It also, you'll elect it, and then you actually get a sign-in, so you actually have to go and make the account active when you get your card, so that it's active. And they send you a deposit slip, which sounds weird, but it's for people like me that grew up when, I'm one of 8, so sometimes the credit card didn't always work. I hate that noise. So what they do is you actually can pre-fund your account. You can take some of your money, your after-tax dollars, and send them. It has to stay within the limit for the year. Send that to them so your account has some money for when you go to the doctor. Then you get a Form 8889 at the end of the tax year, and I can take off my taxes the amount that I pre-funded it, the check, my personal checkbook. okay? And then the money that comes out of here is already pre-tax for you, okay? So there's several ways you can do that, but yeah, if you have a big expense and you're paying yourself back because all that was in there was 500 and you had to spend 1,000, and you're doing 100 a month, you wait till that money gets there and then write yourself a check for 100. Wait till the money gets there, write yourself a check for 100, okay?
And then once you've accumulated, because some people really use this, because you could use these funds for later on when you're not even an employee any longer, you're retired, to pay your Medicare premiums, to pay long-term care expenses or premiums, things like that. And there are a lot of smart financial people that will use an HSA to really plan for the future down the road. And because once you hit $2,500, that money, you can choose to have that money invested in a mutual fund. You can get a much larger return on those dollars rather than just it sitting in that checking, savings, interest-bearing account that maybe is 1% or something. But you do have to have at least $2,500 to do that. And then once you leave Harris County, if you have money in the fund, that money goes with you. As an employee, there's no fees associated with the account, just like there's not with the Flex either. But once you leave, then there are some monthly fees associated with you maintaining that account, depending on what your balance is.
Yeah, under 2,500, it's $250 a month. Right now, the center and us cover that for you, whether you have a Flex or an HSA. But once you leave, the HSA goes with you, the Flex does not. HSA would go with you, but if you're under 2,500, it'd be $250 a month. If you're over 2,500, it's nothing.
Yes.
I just want to be clear on the contribution limit. If
Okay.
you are covering yourself as the employee plus your children, the family
Yes, ma'am.
is the limit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And there's an additional 1,000, is it 1,000 if you're over
55.
55?
Yeah. You get
Like the flex plan, you get 2,500 come September 1st total, and you deduct it for a pay period. How's the HSA work?
If I put in 2,400, we're gonna make this easy for me. If I put in 2,400 for the year, that's $100 paycheck, right? Because 24 paychecks. So, at the end of the month, I put in 2 paychecks, I have $200 available to me, and that's it.
Okay, so it's on the
It's
HSA,
as you build it
per
up.
pay period, you get, you know, the-
Right,
you don't
as it
get the whole
accumulates.
And
65.
honestly, it's good for people like me, because I used to use the Flex, and I do this for a living, and Mary will laugh, but I lost $487.32, and I know it down to the cent, because I put money there thinking I was gonna get a dental procedure done, and I just never took the time off work to do it. And you can't buy over-the-counter medicine, and so I did that. So the next year, I talked my company into doing the health savings account, because I like having pre-tax money to pay for those. But if I'm healthy, I don't want to just go blow my money. You know, just when you used to all go stock up for our NyQuil and stuff, when they allowed that, really that's not what you put your money in there for. So with the health savings accounts, it's nice because you actually can build up some money in case you ever do have that big expenditure that you're using pre-tax money for. So there's definitely pluses to the plan. I just want to stress that you are the administrator and the person over it is the IRS. HCD and JM are just helping you facilitate the money over there. We cannot help you if you guys aren't following all the rules, and there's no way for us to police all those rules. It's your responsibility. Ask the questions, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay. 2 questions.
Okay?
If I have an HSA
Yes,
and
sir.
I want to cover, say, prescriptions for my children or somebody who is, I'm employee only,
Okay?
but I want to cover my wife's expenses or somebody else's expenses, can I do that with my HSA money?
You can. It's very confusing. You can. You don't get to use the family limit. But because you have done the HSA, the IRS considers you an HSA household. No one can have a flex. So even though you can only do the employee-only limit, because that's what you're doing, you still can use the card for your spouse and your children's expenses.
Okay.
They can be on a PPO plan, not a high deductible plan, but their expenses because of you and your HSA can be claimed on yours.
Okay.
Okay.
Transition
Okay?
between what I'm doing now and what I'm doing in the future.
Yay.
My wife works out in the rest of the world where they run from January to December.
Yep.
and
She has a flex.
she may have flexed.
She may or may not, okay.
Right.
If she has a flex, when you elect your HSA, it's a qualified event for as of September for her to go and stop her flex account with her employer.
It's not gonna be August like our flex.
I'm sorry, it's August for you for flex.
Okay.
Your health savings will be August, I'm sorry. I went right to September, didn't I? Medical just gets me. So it's it's August. So it'll be your August 1 effective. She would probably go in July, and she could have your benefit summary that you print out that says it's gonna be 8/1 effective, and that way it gives her qualified change for her to change it based on spousal enrollment, and this is a new plan that's eligible to you and your family.
Okay.
But.
Now, what about the money she's got in it?
Right.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, there's two things here, and there's two sides. Because the money that she has in it will have to be spent before August 1. Then the other thing is if she spent her money that she is still contributing for through December, like say she had elected $2,400 and she spent all $2,400, they can say, you're not using your flex, you have to still continue to pay it back. And there are some employers, and you have to check with the employer, that will make her pay it back all at once. Some will allow her to take it through the rest of the year. She can't use her flex anymore, her card or any reimbursements will stop. But she'll have to, because she's still an employee there, pay that back, anything she's spent already.
A little
Okay.
confusing because.
Sure, we try, it's IRS.
I signed up for that like a month ago. So I'm on a health,
Flex?
I'm on a health savings account.
You're on a health savings.
With
Her own
with
private one.
Wells Fargo, because we
Sure.
didn't have it here.
Right,
So I'm supposed to tell my husband, stop your flex?
he was supposed to stop your.
Nobody advised.
Okay, and I'm gonna tell you that Harris County and us are trying to give you more information than the bank does. Because the banks ask you, are you eligible to open a health savings account? They didn't even ask for proof that you're in a high deductible health plan.
They do.
Well, some of
They
them
do.
don't.
Some of them
They
don't.
ask for your social, for your plan.
Region Center doesn't. They say, are you eligible for this? And you say yes, and they say, okay.
No, I had to even send copies of.
Well, we're just
everything.
telling you
No,
now, it's not
but I'm
supposed to
just
be
telling you, they didn't
Okay.
tell you that you should have had your husband's flex stop.
Now, the other question.
It's your responsibility to
Both of us
know.
have separate insurances, so
Sure.
now can I contribute 6,550?
What election do you have here in Harris County? Who do you cover?
Just myself.
Then you can only cover the employee-only amount here. If he has the high deductible, does he have a high deductible health plan?
No.
Okay, then he's not going to be able to. Yeah, you can only do,
3,300.
yeah, 3,300.
That is unfair, but anyway, it's not your
That-
fault.
I know,
It's
it's
not your
just-
fault, but it's very unfair.
I'm just saying, you're welcome to write the IRS all that you would like to.
Congress will be able to do the bill.
Oh, that's right, so if I have my baby in August, if I have my baby in August,
Congratulations.
I can already do
Where's the baby going to be insured at? At Harris County or where? There's your
for the
spouses.
first month with me.
Okay,
Now,
that's not.
are you adding the baby to your plan?
We don't know
Okay.
until we get the rates.
Okay, so let me just answer it this way. If you add the baby to your plan here and your employee and children, then the rate would go to the $6,550. If you add the baby to your spouse's plan,
Okay.
you're gonna stay at the $3,300.
Even though the first 30 days is on your plan.
And he can
Well-
okay.
Sorry. You can use that HSA for him, but you can't increase your limits. We, again, don't make the IRS rules. If I did, I would know more.
They have to set some rules.
They have to set some rules and parameters, and, you know, they can't give exceptions to me. It's just, you've got to set some rules. And the thing is I think we've given you guys a great brochure, and when you lose this, it's going to be on that reference center all the time. So, yes, ma'am.
So is the FSA going away?
No, because the FSA is available for everybody who wants to in Active Care 1 HD or Active Care 2. You don't have to do the HSA because you're in the high deductible plan. You have the choice either way. With Active Care 2, your only choice is the flex.
We actually have a district, we offered it to it, no. Remember, you can't do both.
That's what I thought.
One or the other. If you're an HSA, you're an HSA household. Neither you or a spouse can do a flex anywhere. and that's your responsibility to know. On the flex, we have one district we offered the HSA, and they all wanted it to be pre-funded, so they all stayed with the flex. But I will tell you, most of our districts, we're moving more and more people to the HSA because they don't want to have to spend their money with the high deductible health plans that you're kind of being moved to. You know, no one really knows if you're going to need that because you're hoping you don't have. I don't think anyone says, "Ooh, I'm hoping I get to go to the doctor."
But we have a certain number of employees that I can see the other districts. We have some employees that want the pre-funding.
Yeah, they use it for when
they
they
don't
need
want
to
to have
take
to
their
wait
child.
until they've got all the money in there because they need
Absolutely.
the procedure now. So the flex is if you need the pre-funding.
Right.
The HSA is if you're more attracted to the money rolling over and you're not losing it at the end of the year.
And you're in the high deductible health plan.
And you're in the high deductible
Yeah,
plan.
because I have a lot of people that want to be on it, but they want to stay on too, and that's not, the IRS does not allow that. Okay?
So as a family, we can contribute 6,550. So if my wife has like HSA, employee only for 3,000, I can do it. As employee.
Employee only, is she an employee here too?
No, she's not.
Okay, so she's doing 3,000, you're saying, over at
Yeah,
the-
let's say. I'm
Let's
not
say
sure.
she's doing the 3,300, then it doesn't quite make it, one of you needs to do 3,250.
The max is
Yeah.
6550.
6550. Because if you and your wife ever have children and one of you has the child, you can actually do 6550 at that employer, but then the other one cannot do anything because it's a family as a unit. Doesn't matter if you're in two employers or one. So I don't know why they didn't do 6,600, but they didn't. So one would do 3,250 and one would do 3,300. And again, that's the maximum. Please note, some people aren't planning on using the HSA and they want it to roll over, but they're fine with, you know, $25 or $50 going in and thinking they're probably not going to use it. It's just going to keep rolling over to build up if they ever need it. So the maximum are those amounts. The minimum is $300 a year.
One
Okay.
last question.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
On my end. One last question on my end. Is this going on this whole 3,300 or whatever on a tax year from January 1st through December 31st, or is it going on our year? Because if it follows IRS, then I assume it's a calendar year.
Okay, and I'm going to help with that answer.
Okay.
Because JAM does administrate the 125 plan, and the only way we can do is to set some rules, is we have to only allow all the way, your plan here is all we're going to allow is, wow, this is my voice, is 3,300.
Yeah,
Okay.
but from when
I know what you're saying. Just so you know, the 3,300 with the IRS is calendar year. But all that we can do and administer correctly for Harris County is to allow you to 3,300 at the most from August to July. And then every year you
Per
would,
plan year.
Well, I'm talking because I started mine already. So I'm thinking, oh, can I put 3,300 and
No.
then 3,300 September 1st?
no,
No, 3,300 1 year. So
Right.
we go by IRS.
yes.
So
So,
that contribution limit is a per annual limit, right? So let's say you put 6550 this year, next year you can put another 6550 if you end up not using it.
right, but we're gonna go,
Oh,
our
capping
limit
it.
here is 6,500 for your year here.
That's what I'm saying. So let's say I put 6550 and I don't end up not using anything. I mean, obviously that's unlikely, but let's say I
It'd be nice.
next year I can put another 6550.
Yes.
It's not like there's no cap to say you only can have 6550.
There's not a cap.
No total cap, no.
Okay.
No total cap. We actually have some people that are almost in the 3 digits that are, and they're planning on using it as they get older and they have medical expenses and they're gonna use it for their Medicare supplement plan and COBRA plans.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So somebody retires, they've got all this money in their account,
Woo-hoo.
and can they use it at that point at a certain age, regardless of whether it's a medical expense or not, without having to pay that penalty?
No. No.
So if they get to be 65 years old and they're healthy and they have $1 million in there, if they don't have $1 million worth of medical, then what happens? They have to pay the penalty.
They would pay the penalty, yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you wanna get $1 million in there.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
But after 65, there's no penalty. If it pays tax on it, you just don't pay the penalty.
No, there's a penalty if you use it for something that's not beneficial.
I thought I read somewhere that there was no penalty.
About over 65 or after retirement.
Got a question for you.
Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
say,
Sir.
Because I didn't understand.
the subject matter that you put money in here, and let's say you die, unfortunately you die, is that transferable to your,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
your spouse or your children?
It goes to your children. Or your spouse, whoever you make your beneficiary in your will. Yeah, and in the state of Texas, if you don't have a will, I know I'm reading it here too. I can't read that small.
So it says money withdrawn at or over the age of 65
Yeah.
is taxed as income, but you can say penalty.
The penalty does not apply to funds withdrawn after your death, disability, or so. Let me go back on the question that we had over here. If you're 65 and you withdraw money, there's no penalty, but you have to get to 65. So if you have the million in there,
You have to pay taxes.
you have to pay taxes
But no
because it's
penalty.
pre-tax, but no penalty. And you do have the choice of the mutual fund after you get to 2,500. Please note the first 2,500 would never be invested in the mutual fund. It stays in the interest-bearing account that is like 1%, you're right. But at least it's something, there's some banks paying nothing. So that is something also to remember. Also remember mutual funds go up and down, so if they go down, yours is gonna go down too, so just note all of that.
Who's investing that money?
You get to choose them.
So you do choose it?
You choose them.
No, I
And you don't have to.
You don't have to. You can keep it in the small interest-bearing account, or you can choose part of it after you get above 2,500. You can choose how much you do, and that's all done online. And they've got accounts there for you too.
All right, we have one more question, and then for those of you that need to leave, you know, we're a little bit past 11, you're certainly welcome to leave, but those that want to stay, you have a few more questions, Karen and I are happy to stay here and answer those questions. So let's get this one. No, go ahead.
So my question is about making contributions yourself, because you said that we would have deposit slips.
You have one deposit slip,
Okay.
but you can request another one.
So normally,
I saw
Just saying.
the footnote that the maximum amount that they're going to deposit is 1/12 at the election. So how would you make a deposit? Are you just talking about if you're eligible to deposit more than you're having withdrawn?
Yes.
Then you can,
Yes.
that overage amount.
Right,
you
like
can
I elected
personally-
1,200, so I still had part of mine, when I did mine, it was 3,000.
So you're limited to your personal contribution to that amount?
Yes, and it was my responsibility to make sure I didn't go over the 3,000. So, but I wrote a check for 1,000 because I don't like, and I'm horrible about
Anybody
looking
can
at
contribute
balances.
to it. Anybody, from what I read, anybody can put the whole amount in it so long as it's not over 3,300.
Right,
right, you
right.
didn't need to tell us, stop buying contributions because I went and wrote a check.
Right, okay.
But it is your responsibility to tell Harris County. And then, I will tell you, once they've put the money in, you can't ask them to get a refund, because they can't. You can get it, but you're gonna pay the penalty for over, okay? It's a very, yeah, over contributing by $50, but yeah, you will pay the penalty for that. Probably. It's a good plan, but you have to be active in it, pre-tax.
Yes, thank you so much and happy open enrollment.